All right. Germany, Bitcoin, and a $2 billion missed opportunity. You know, when I first saw this headline, I was like, wait, what?
2 billion? That's not exactly pocket change.
It's not. So we're diving deep into an article called Germany's Missed Opportunity with Bitcoin, Lessons from a $2 billion Gap. And let me tell you, it's a wild ride.
Oh, I bet. Crypto and government, always an interesting mix.
So basically, German authorities, they busted this huge movie piracy site, movie2k.to, and get this, they seized nearly 50,000 Bitcoin.
Oh, 50,000. That's going to be one of the biggest crypto seizures ever, right?
It was the biggest in Germany's history, at least.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets crazy. German law, it kind of forced their hand.
Forced their hand how?
They had to sell those seized assets if the value changed by more than 10%. It's meant to, like, minimize risk, you know?
Yeah, makes sense. Don't want the government gambling with volatile assets. But irony alert,
That's
right?
big time, because Bitcoin's price, it didn't just change, it went boom. Skyrocketed to, like, over $93,000.
Ouch. Talk about a missed opportunity.
Yeah. They sold at an average of $53,000 per coin. So, yeah, they missed out on an extra $2 billion.
2 billion. Imagine the things they could have done with that. Schools, infrastructure, you name it.
It's mind-blowing. But okay, let's back up a sec. Why did the price of Bitcoin surge so dramatically anyway? What was going on?
Well, the biggest factor was the halving event back in April. Basically, every 4 years or so, the rate at which new Bitcoin is created, it gets cut in half.
Cut in half. So, like, suddenly there's half as much new Bitcoin coming into the system.
Exactly. Less supply, same demand, boom, price goes up. Basic economics, but on a global digital scale.
Okay, I get that. But there are other things happening in the world too, right? Like elections, maybe some rumors about new regulations. Did any of that play a role?
There was definitely a lot of chatter, speculation about U.S. regulatory changes, maybe some optimism after the election. But honestly,
Honestly.
the halving event, that was the main driver. It's like
Yeah.
the foundation of Bitcoin's value proposition. There's controlled scarcity. It's built into the code.
Yeah.
You know.
So Germany sold low, price explodes thanks to the halving, and now everyone's asking, what does this mean for the future?
I think Germany's experience is a wake-up call. It shows the tension between these old financial rules and the new world of crypto. They followed the law, but was it the right approach for something like Bitcoin?
It makes you wonder, how should governments be handling this stuff? Especially when you consider that some people see Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. Something countries might hold on to, like gold.
Exactly. And that idea, Bitcoin as a strategic reserve, it's gaining traction. It's a hedge against traditional risks, a store of value outside the control of central banks and governments. Think about it. Germany sold, but MicroStrategy, they bought 27,200 more Bitcoins at like $74,463 per coin.
Seriously, they paid almost $75,000 a coin. They must be pretty confident about Bitcoin's future.
They are. They see it as digital gold, a way to protect against inflation, the devaluation of traditional currencies. So you got Germany being cautious, selling low, and MicroStrategy going all in, buying high. Two very different approaches.
Two very different bets on the future. But what does it all mean for the rest of us? How should countries be managing these digital assets? Is there even a right answer?
Well, that's the million Bitcoin question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing traditional finance collide with this decentralized digital world, and the rules are still being written. Germany's story, it's just the beginning.
The beginning of what? A new era in finance, a wild west of digital assets. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So Germany selling low, MicroStrategy buying high, but there's another perspective we got to talk about. The article mentions this German parliament member, Joanna Kotar, and she's got some concerns.
Ah, yeah, Kotar. She's worried about the U.S., thinks they might adopt Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset.
Yeah, and that worries her. Why?
FOMO, basically, fear of missing out. She thinks if the U.S. makes a move, everyone else will scramble to get their hands on Bitcoin.
Oh, so like a global crypto gold rush.
Exactly. And she's worried Germany, having already sold their stash, will be left behind, eating everyone else's dust.
Okay, I can see why she'd be concerned. But let's play this out. Let's say countries DO start stockpiling Bitcoin. What happens then? What does that do to the global financial system?
Whoa, that's a big question. I mean, imagine central banks holding Bitcoin alongside gold and all those foreign currencies.
It's almost like we're talking about a paradigm shift, right?
It is.
Mm.
Think about it. If countries are using Bitcoin, does that mean less reliance on the U.S. dollar? Could it weaken the dollar's power?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So we're talking about potentially shaking up the entire global financial system.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, we're talking about a world where power is more evenly distributed, maybe a little less U.S.-centric.
It's kind of mind-blowing, like we're watching history unfold in real time. But okay, let's bring it back to Germany. Knowing what we know now, what should any country be thinking about when it comes to managing these digital assets?
I think the big lesson from Germany is flexibility. Those old financial rules, they don't always apply in this new crypto world.
Hmm.
We need policies that can adapt.
So no more one-size-fits-all approach.
Right. And we got to think long term. What if Bitcoin really does become a global reserve asset? What does that mean for countries that don't have any?
Okay, so that's another layer to this. It's not just about managing what you have fee, it's about strategizing for what you might need in the future.
It is. And it raises a whole bunch of new questions.
Uh-huh.
Like, how do you acquire Bitcoin? If you decide you need it, do you buy it on the open market? Mine it yourself.
Mining, wait, isn't that like super complicated?
It is. You need a ton of computing power, a lot of energy. It's not something you just do overnight.
So it's not just about buying low and selling high. It's about understanding this whole new system, this whole new way of thinking about money.
Absolutely. And it's about recognizing that this stuff, it's not going away. It's only going to get bigger, more important.
So buckle up, right? The crypto roller coaster is just getting started.
Oh, yeah. And who knows where it'll take us. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be a wild ride.
Okay, so we've talked about Germany's their Bitcoin blunder, the whole strategic reserve thing. But there's got to be more to it, right? Like, what's the big picture here?
I think you're right. This is about more than just one country or even one cryptocurrency. It's about like a fundamental shift in how we think about money and power.
Okay, so like how so?
Well, let's go back to that idea of Bitcoin as a reserve asset. Imagine like a bunch of countries decide to hold Bitcoin. What does that do to the global financial system?
Yeah, we were kind of getting into that before. Less reliance on the US dollar, maybe.
Exactly. You start to see a shift away from this US-centric system. Power becomes more and more distributed.
Okay, and that's a good thing, a bad thing.
Well, that's the million Bitcoin question, isn't it? It
Yeah.
could lead to more stability. A multipolar system, multiple reserve currencies. It might be less vulnerable to shocks.
So like if one currency crashes, the whole system doesn't go down with it.
Right, exactly.
Mm.
But of course, there'd be challenges too. Adjustments, growing pains.
It's almost like, I don't know, like we're at the edge of something completely new, kind of scary, kind of exciting.
It is. It is. We're writing the rules as we go along. And Germany, they kind of stumble into this. They showed us what not to do, maybe.
So what should we be doing? What's the next step?
Honestly, I think it starts with understanding. Really digging into this technology, figuring out how it works, what the risks are, educating policymakers, the public.
Education, yeah, makes sense. But what about like regulation? Do we need new laws for this stuff?
That's tough. Some people say, hey, we can just adapt the old rules. Others say, no way, we need something completely new.
So no easy answers.
Not really. But we got to find that balance, encourage innovation, but also protect people. Make sure this new system is stable, secure.
Right, because there's got to be a downside to all this, right? Scams, hacking, all that stuff.
Absolutely. We got to be smart about this. Cybersecurity is huge EE, consumer protection too. The Wild West days of crypto, they got to end.
It's a lot to think about. Education, regulation, security, protecting people.
It is. It is. But it's also like an incredible opportunity. We're shaping the future of finance here. What we do now matters.
So let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways from all this, from Germany's Bitcoin billions?
First, I think it shows how important it is to adapt. Those old financial rules, they might not cut it in this new crypto world.
Gotcha. Adapt or get left behind, basically.
Pretty much. Second, we got to remember this is still early days. Crypto, it's volatile, it's unpredictable.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. And finally, I think Germany's story, it reminds us that Bitcoin, this is more than just an investment. It has the potential to like reshape the whole global financial system.
So it's not just about making money, it's about like power. Who has it, who controls it.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. It's about control, about influence, it's about the future.
All right. Well, on that note, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. We've been talking about Bitcoin, about Germany, but maybe, just maybe, this is all part of something much bigger. Maybe this is the beginning of the whole new era of future where these digital assets, they're not just on the sidelines anymore. They're at the center of everything. It's something to think about as we all navigate this crazy, exciting, terrifying new world together.